Okay, it shows that I am live. I'll give it a few minutes for everyone to start tuning in. I am live streaming on Rumble and YouTube right now. It is Friday, October 11th, and there's a lot going on in the world. I'm sure that you guys have seen the hurricanes, and there's all kinds of controversy and conspiracies involving that, involving weather modification. I'll talk about that in a moment. But I do think that this situation, when you look at the destruction that we've seen involving the flooding and the storm surge, that it does remind me of various ancient cataclysms involving flooding. And whether it's the Richat structure and flooding erosion over the Western Sahara, when we look at the localized flooding, and I'm not just talking about Hurricane Milton here, but over the last few weeks, whether it's the flooding in Tennessee or particularly in Asheville and various parts of North Carolina, when you look at the very localized flooding and the destruction that it caused, and I have some slides that I'm going to share with you, before and after photos of what these localized floods have done, it nowhere even compares to the nature of cataclysmic flooding that has happened on Earth in the past. And so it should paint us a picture that if these relatively small localized floods could have caused so much destruction, it should paint a picture in our heads of what might be possible with something that was far more extreme. I'll probably keep it to about an hour today. I got some stuff going on tonight. It is Friday, but I will definitely be showing you some slides, and I'll be answering questions and comments and super chats, so keep them coming. I'll be keeping an eye out for those. And let's see here. Let's make sure that we're set on YouTube. We are. And let's see how we're looking on Rumble. 1 second. Yeah, it's a little grainy again. I took precautions to make sure that that wouldn't happen. Let's see here. Delete that message. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, this is weird. It's grainy again. I don't know why, guys. I definitely double checked to make sure everything was up and running on my end. So we're just going to muscle through it and hope that it improves. You know what's interesting is that to those of you that were watching my live stream last week and the it was very pixelated. What was interesting, as others pointed out, is that whenever I brought up the super chats and the my ad reads for the sponsors, everything was crystal clear except for my video. And on my end, it shows that it's perfect. So I'll have to play around and do some further research. No, I do not think that the cabal is trying to suppress me. Yeah, Professor Oak said the sound is fine. That's the main thing, Jimmy. I appreciate that. So let's see here. Bring in the questions, bring in the comments, and I'm going to wait a couple minutes for more people to filter in before I start showing the slides. But yeah, I'm curious to hear you guys' thoughts on various conspiracies involving weather modification and people talking about that causing the hurricanes. I have thoughts on it, and I'm going to share. But I'm also curious about what anyone else's perspective was involving the damage that was caused by the flooding, whether it's from Hurricane Milton and the prior flooding in North Carolina from the storm before that. So yeah, let's see here. Thank you so much, Andy Hill. I appreciate the nice comment there. Oh, here's a good one. Oops, that's not what I meant. Hi, Stacy. I wasn't trying to show your comment, but hello. I'm glad that I did. Here's the comment I was trying to show. When are you going to debate Flint Dibble? Hey, if Flint wants to have a debate, I'd have no problem having a conversation with him. But there's really no point. That guy, if you look at, and I also highly recommend this, Graham Hancock on his YouTube channel today, you can find it very easily. Just type in Graham Hancock and he has a channel. He doesn't post there too often, but he did come out with a 55-minute response, a long overdue response involving his debate that he had with Flint Dibble back in April on the Joe Rogan podcast. And he went through and did various fact-checking on Flint Dibble, on the various things that he said on the podcast. And it's there for all who have eyes to see that Flint Dibble was incredibly inaccurate and used verifiably false sources in order to try to win a live debate. And it'd be one thing if he came out afterwards and addressed and said, okay, hey, I made this mistake, I made that mistake, I apologize, or just something. But all he's ever done is double down, which makes him look very dishonest, sleazy, and as Graham Hancock put it, slippery. But whatever, this doesn't need to be a Flint dibble bashing session. Although he watches all my stuff, he was apparently watching last week's podcast when I was live with Dan Richards of the Dedunking channel on his channel. So whatever, who cares about him? Hate is gonna hate. Let's see here. Oops, I didn't mean to put that there, but I will look out for the bots and morons. I meant to do this one. The hurricanes are born in a similar manner to tornadoes, crashing air masses. They are fed by warm water. This is the truth. I guess I'll just say what I'm thinking involving the weather modification. Guys, I don't buy it. One, if it was the case with Hurricane Milton, because if you're looking online, a lot of people are saying, this is the government's causing this, da da da, they're trying to do it. And remember how it was a Category 5 when it started, and then by the time it hit landfall, it was a Category 3? If the powers that be were controlling the weather involving hurricanes, something tells me they would have been far more stronger. But guys, there was more hurricanes decades ago that were more frequent and more strong. I believe in the 1970s and possibly the 1930s. Don't quote me on that part. But you can look this stuff up. There were some people that were posting on Twitter saying, okay, so if the government and the sinister powers that be are controlling the weather, what was happening decades ago when there was far more hurricanes and ones that were far more stronger? Guys, the earth has been, listen, I'm not saying that powers that be aren't trying to control the weather and doing various experimentations. I would be surprised if they weren't. However, I would also be quite surprised if they could actually create a hurricane. I want to believe that that's not possible at this point in time, and I want to believe that it never will be possible. But, who knows? But I'm just not buying it. And I think that if it was the case, they would have killed us all by now in order to push their various climate change narratives and stuff like that. But who knows? I'm an open-minded individual, and I always say if I don't know that I don't know. And I always entertain various possibilities. But yeah. Let's see here. Let me just double check how we're looking here on YouTube. Wow, that is the grainiest. Yeah, someone said, are you broadcasting from the moon? Guys, this is so unacceptable. How is this even possible? I don't even understand. I might have to end this. This is twice in a row. I double checked everything this time in order to ensure. Well, it is far more clear on Rumble. That's interesting. Hey guys, rumble.com. It's free to sign up. It doesn't cost you anything. You just need an email address and a password. In fact, you don't even need to sign in order to watch anything. But this is so pixelated on YouTube that this is really making me wonder. This is like, I don't even understand how this is possible. I'm a little concerned. But here's the thing. I would just end this and restart it, but I'd have to create a whole new thing. It would kick everyone out. I'd have to resend out a new link. So I'm just going to muscle through this, keep it to about an hour, and then later today, or for my next live stream, I will double check everything. But let me start off. I want to show you guys some slides involving the before and after of the hurricane damage as well as the flooding in North Carolina. But watch this. You'll know it's not anything on my end when the slides that I bring up look crystal clear. We'll see if that happens. So let me just add these to the stage. Let me remove, oops. Let me go like this. Okay, 1 second. All right, I believe you guys can see this real good. So I made this before and after photo, or actually I didn't make it, I made the slide, but this one someone else had created. Same, this is in North Carolina, and look at the before and after. Completely decimated this little town, took away the road, all that's left is minor debris, and this really highlights that if this can happen, a relatively small localized flooding can cause something like this. Imagine what a catastrophic flow of water from the ocean would do if that's what happened over the Western Sahara Desert. Now, real quick, what I want to do is, let me just remove this. Let me just knock out a quick sponsor read from my awesome sponsor here. Let me just do this. Let me stop the screen. 1 second, guys. This will only take a second. Share screen. Okay. 1 second. All right. Hold on, guys. Bear with me. All right. So remember Event 201 just before an election? Bill Gates, the World Economic Forum, and Johns Hopkins ran a pandemic simulation in October of 2019. Months later, COVID hit. Well, here we go again. It's October. We are on the verge of a historical election, and now there's a bird flu summit. Their playbook is the same: create chaos, bring back lockdowns, and perform medical tyranny. Wake up, this is their October surprise. Last time we were caught off guard, but now we have a proven solution to protect ourselves and our families. The wellness company created the emergency medical kit, and every home in America should have at least one of these. They're packed with life-saving meds like ivermectin, amoxicillin, and even a Z-Pack. And it's all backed by experts like Dr. Peter McCullough. Picture this: no more frantic searches for a doctor, no more emergency room waits, just a few clicks and this kit is delivered to your front door. In times like these, having your emergency medical kit is a necessity. Protect your family by preparing now. Get your kit by heading over to twc.health/brightinsight and use promo code BRIGHTINSIGHT to save $30. Don't wait till it's too late. Act now, take control, and ensure you're protected against whatever comes next. That's twc.health/brightinsight. Use promo code BRIGHTINSIGHT to save $30 plus free shipping now. Thank you guys for letting me read that. Hey, y'all know I'm a prepper. These kits are $299, but keep in mind it's giving you a variety of medicines, and if you book a doctor's appointment to get these things, you're going to spend even more usually, and deductibles and other things. So as a prepper, to have antibiotics on hand is gold. Can you imagine, especially in a crap hit the fan situation? My God. Are you going on Joe Rogan again? I believe so, but nothing's booked at this time. But the last time we met up, he did say he wanted to do it again, and he doesn't say that kind of thing unless he means it. Joe Rogan's a stud like that. Let's see here. Let me go back to my slides. 1 second. And I want to show you guys more of these flooding slides. Share screen. All right. Okay, so look at this one. Here's a before and after. Look on the left and look on the right. It basically completely bulldozed the area. Here's one where you can see, look at what's left of the road. Just cuts completely off like it was never there. And again, this is small, localized flooding. And I will, of course, come to the Eye of the Sahara, in the Western Sahara. And we don't need to get on the topic of Atlantis, at least for the purpose of this video. The reality is that a catastrophic force of water obliterated the Sahara Desert. These striations are fluvial in nature. Various experts, such as Randall Carlson, agrees with this. In fact, he has made videos explaining that although he doesn't think the Richat was Atlantis, but clearly there was a flood or multiple floods that obliterated the Sahara Desert. And I've taken upon myself, and many people might not remember, but a year or two ago, I made a video explaining the evidence involving a catastrophic force of water over the Sahara Desert. And it's abundantly clear that this is not wind erosion, and here's how you know. In my video that I mentioned, I found an article because I started researching what are the most windiest places on Earth, and I found a few articles talking about the top 10. Well, Antarctica is the windiest. The second place is in New Zealand. There's a place in Maine on a mountain chain there. There's Dodge City outside of Kansas. And if you go down the list of the most windy places on Earth and you observe them from satellite imagery, literally none of them have any of these striations whatsoever. None. It doesn't even remotely resemble what we see over the Sahara Desert. And when I look at places such as Antarctica, which is covered in snow and ice, obviously, if wind could carve the Western Sahara bedrock like the experts suggest, then obviously Antarctica would have a similar appearance in other places around the world. I challenge anyone to find any of the windiest places on Earth and to compare any of these striations to what we see over at the Richat. It is clear that a flood happened, guys. I don't know what it was or exactly when it happened, but something happened, and it's abundantly clear. And if you look closely on this images, in the lower left-hand side to the left and lower of the Richat structure, you can see those same ripples. Let me see if me zooming in on this will help. The same catastrophic ripples that you see in the Scablands of Washington, Eastern Washington, that Randall Carlson has brilliantly shown, these are significantly larger, 3 and 4 times larger than those. And again, just to bring up, all these white blemishes are indeed salt. And all of this salt that you see in and around the Richat structure concentrates at the areas of the lowest elevation, which I again will say that this is suggestive evidence that seawater had settled and later evaporated here. It's not unreasonable to suggest that at all. But the question becomes, what happened and when? So let's look at more images. Here's another one. Again, a small localized flood. Whatever happened over the Sahara Desert to create those enormous ripples in the bedrock would have been something so, hundreds of times larger than any of the localized floods that we've seen here in the last number of weeks, which have completely stripped and removed roads and caused all kinds of havoc. Here's a photo from Hurricane Milton from just the other day. This is going back over to North Carolina. This could be Tennessee, but I believe this one's from North Carolina. Again, completely removed a road, unbelievable carnage. You know what I mean? Like, look at that. Completely just removed it like it was never even there. And again, it's small and it's localized. So let me go ahead and remove this for a second. Let me answer some questions here. Let me see what we got going on in the chat. Any super chats are welcome. Let's see here. So when that was showing, someone leave me a comment if the images were clear on your guys' end when I was sharing that. Hit a 1 if it was clear and hit a 2 if the images were blurry. Guys, this quality here on YouTube is so unbelievably bad. I can't even understand what is going on here. Wow. Let's see here. All right, so 1, people are saying that the images were clear, so why is the camera not? I have to assume it's operator error on my end, guys, but really, this has never happened before. Okay, I'm seeing all the ones. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. So that it was clear on that end. So why is this not clear? I don't want to keep talking about it. I thought guys, this was never an issue. I haven't done anything different. So for my prior live streams that were ultra clear, I haven't done anything different, guys. So it kind of makes me a little suspicious, but yeah. Yeah, okay, so I just rewinded it on my end to see, yeah, the images were clear. So what the hell is going on? Someone said bandwidth. I'm plugged into my router. Everything should be fine. So, ridiculous. Okay, so let's do some questions. Let's do some super chats. Let's see what we got going on here, guys. Let's see. Again, I want to keep it to about an hour today, but let's see. I want to know what you guys are thinking and feeling. This is a fun Friday night, afternoon chat. Let's see here. Show me what questions you guys have, and what I'm going to do is let me knock out my other sponsor read, and as questions come in, so as soon as I read this, I will go ahead and move on to the questions. 1 second here. All right. The sponsor of this one is Lean. Everybody is talking about those weight loss injections because the results are so dramatic. They work by lowering blood sugar and reducing appetite. But what if you need to lose weight but you don't have the money and don't like weekly shots? That's why doctors created a weight loss supplement called Lean, and the results are remarkable. The studied ingredients in Lean have been shown to lower your blood sugar, burn fat by converting it into energy, and curb your appetite and cravings, so you're not as hungry. But listen, Lean is not for the casual dieter with only a few pounds to lose. The doctors at Brickhouse Nutrition created Lean for frustrated dieters with 10 pounds or more to lose. Let's get you started with 15% off and free shipping so you can add Lean to your healthy diet and exercise plan. Visit takelean.com and enter BI15. BI stands for Bright Insight. That's BI15 for your discount. That's promo code BI15 at takelean.com. The link is in the description down below. All right, guys, those are all my sponsors today. But hey, these companies support me. It can benefit you. I highly recommend, if you have weight issues, to check out Lean, Take Lean, and as well as, guys, you should all be preppers and have ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, amoxicillin, and Z-Packs on hand. All right, so Alien Tenno says, I fear Seoul is going through a change and that's bad for us. He's talking about the sun. So there was more northern lights as far down as Alabama just last night. They were here in Arizona where I live, in Sedona. I saw some spectacular images. Guys, you need to understand that for them to be seen this far south is indicative of the declining Earth shields, the magnetic field of Earth involving the pole shift that we're currently undergoing. I can't tell you for sure when the poles are going to completely flip. I wouldn't be surprised if it's in our lifetime, but it is a scientific fact that the poles are currently changing, and because of that, the Earth shields are diminishing. And that is the reason why you can see more of these northern lights. I highly recommend you check out Ben Davison of Suspicious Observers. He's also on X.com under the screen name Sun Space Weather News. He's a great guy, and he has a lot of info on this, so I highly recommend. Let's see here. All right. Yeah, dudes all over the place. Thank you, Almonte Observatory. Hey, man, I'm doing live streams is no little thing, but I appreciate the feedback. Geoengineering. In what regard are you referring to? Send me a follow-up question. Let's see here. It looks like the quality on YouTube has since improved. That's good news. Look at that. It's still not perfect, but it's better than it was. It was so bad a few moments ago, so I'll take it. All right, let's see here. Let's look at some more comments. Oh, we got Diddy Weldon, my friend from the UK. It says, the aura in the whole of the UK magnetosphere. Thank you so much for the comment. I still got to come to the UK, Diddy. Let's see here. Flip-flop, that's right. Yeah, Jabberjaw says they refuse to address the magnetic field topic and hide the data. What's very interesting is that you don't hear almost anyone talking about it. They're all distracting us from other things. Guys, the Earth's shields are absolutely declining. And it's something we should all be concerned about. And whenever they don't talk about something that is indeed a fact and concerning involving Earth's climate, that's something we got to pay attention to. Knowledge and Perspective says, Jimmy, what are your thoughts on the large dams on the Missouri River highly susceptible to earthquakes, possibly cause cataclysmic failure of all 6 dams on the river, fracking near there too? So I'm actually not familiar with the Missouri dams on the Missouri River, but I appreciate you sharing that. That's something I should look into. Yeah, guys. You have to keep in mind that a lot of our infrastructure was created decades ago prior to vast knowledge of modern day times involving how to keep things, intact during cataclysmic events and earthquakes and floods and other things. And we're very vulnerable, just like our electrical grid, guys. If we get a large enough solar flare that's pointed at Earth and it hits us, it is established science that could cause our electrical grid to go down or cause tremendous telecommunication systems issues involving satellites, TV, phones, even our internet. Guys, even if the light stayed on but the internet went down, imagine what that would do for commerce. Most businesses now are doing their transactions with their credit cards online. In fact, even if you were to try to exchange cash, a lot of these registers at various department stores or grocery stores are all connected to the internet. If that goes down, you might not be able to pay for things. So it's pretty wild. Let's see here. What questions you guys have? Let's see here. Come on, guys. Give me some more good stuff here. Let's see. Have we found the recipe for Roman concrete? I heard something like that. There's been speculation that some have said they figured it out. This is I think a year ago, if we're talking about the same thing. I don't believe they've totally replicated it. I think that they identified some stuff in it, but I'm not the expert to talk to about that. What I do know is that it's been a mystery for thousands of years. People could not understand how Romans created more sophisticated concrete than the stuff we use in our sidewalks today. That's pretty wild. The Romans had figured something out, and it's a testament, because the Romans are just, 2,000 years ago? Less than that even? And it's the fact that we lost the knowledge of how they were doing things, and they came thousands of years after the Egyptians. Think about that. It's a testament for how little we know about our ancient history and how quickly things are lost to the sands of time, as it's called. Let's see. Mother Butler says, hey Jimmy, first live I've got to in a while. We saw the Northern Lights last night here in the north of England through the camera lens. That's awesome. You should post the pictures online. It's been fun to see people sharing this stuff. This is a fact. Samurai, magnetic field weakens as the North Pole drifts. That is a fact. Let's see here. Jimmy, what's your opinion on figures such as Egyptian god Ra or Christ and who are represented with the sun? Is it possible that the second coming is actually another world catastrophe caused by the sun? Many have suggested this. When I was in Egypt, Patricia Aouyan, who is the ex-wife now of Yusuf Aouyan, strongly believed that the Egyptians were trying to talk to us about sun cycles and sun catastrophes. That may or may not be true, but the sun is the source of life on Earth. It is the source of everything. In fact, what is it, 94% of all elements in the human body came from the sun? Like, we're literally made up of stardust. It's a fact. It's pretty wild when you think about it. And the Egyptians clearly knew that the sun was vastly important, as did all cultures around the world, let's be real. Native Americans and otherwise, we all know that the sun helps our food grow. But it's a fascinating topic. Very few have talked about that the cataclysm could have been related to the sun. You have more people talking about it now, but we do know that there are sun cycles. And when you look at the Little Ice Age from a few hundred years ago that lasted some 500 years, that's related to sunspots, that there was a decrease in sunspots, which is correlated with cooling. Just like 2,000 years ago, there was something called the medieval warming period, or the Roman warming period, where the Romans were growing wine vineyards in the UK. It was warmer then, around the whole Mediterranean as well, 2,000 years ago, and it is believed to be related to the sun as well. Think about that. A lot of people don't just, a lot of people aren't aware of that. And so if the sun goes cold again, we're in so much trouble. Let's see here. Yes, I've seen Elon's new robot toys. So listen, I have mixed thoughts on it. First of all, it's a marvel of engineering. It's amazing. The thing is awesome. I'd love to play around with it. But, look, I saw Terminator 2. Right? Those things could be used to kill us all. So I'm not a huge fan of the whole robot thing, but I understand why it is a thing in the first place. All right, let's see here. What super chats or anything we got going here? Yep, the Carrington event. The Carrington event is something people should look into if you're not familiar with it. Was it in 1878 or something around then, the latter part of the 1800s? There was a massive solar storm. It caused telegraph lines to combust and to fire. And, it's believed that if that happened today, that would obliterate our electrical grid. And it could happen, guys. It could absolutely happen. Let's see here. X-190 event, an enormous solar flare that periodic in Earth history, happened many times, but it would have been the greatest now when everything we use is electrical. Exactly. And with the sun acting up like it is, again, people should be asking themselves, you don't really hear the media talking about why these northern lights are seen as far down as Alabama and elsewhere, right? They're not really talking about it, or at least not going into the details and the science behind it. It's something that should be catching people's eye. Let's see here. Someone said the Romans didn't make any concrete. I don't know if that's true. Someone else said Roman concrete is amazing. You bet. Let's see here. Someone said turn off the screen, it'll make the image better. I don't know if you're talking to me or someone else. Let's see here. On my end, it's so crystal clear, guys. I did the whole test beforehand, and then as soon as I go live, it diminished. Unreal. But I'm going to talk to some people and get this figured out because I can't tolerate this. Again, it looks better on Rumble, but it's still grainy as hell. So I don't know what's going on here. Yeah. But enough about that. I'm not going to complain about it. I spent too much time talking about it in the last stream anyways. Let's see here. Yes, we certainly are a species with amnesia. One second, let me scroll down. Oh, I missed a lot. Let's see here. Okay, appreciate that, Brandon Vincent. He's talking about the other guy. Marlee said, looked on Rumble, looks the same. I appreciate the feedback. Oh, hold on a second here. I don't have a green screen. This is literally my wall with a $20 wall tapestry of the city of Phoenix behind me. It's just a cloth that weighs like 1 pound and it's held up by tacks. I think it looks better than a green screen. The problem with green screens is that, depending on your setup, it can look a little fuzzy and a little weird, and I'm not a fan of it. Oh, I love Timcast. I've been on there a couple times. He said he had a good Culture War episode on this morning. I'm going to have to go check that out. I'm due to go back on Timcast. Tim Pool's been real good to me. That's right. Let's go Diamondbacks. Paradigm. Another Phoenician here. Let's see. Have you watched the Flint Dibble Danny Jones yet? I've watched most of it. I haven't caught all of it just because I've been caught up with a few things. However, I have been invited on to the Danny Jones podcast. Still working out getting it booked, but it'll probably be in the next couple weeks. So stay tuned. I have no doubt that Flint Dibble will be a topic, as well as the wrist shot structure and various other things. So I'm greatly looking forward to that. And if the dates happen like we discussed, it will be just a few days after Ancient Apocalypse Season 2 comes out. That airs on October 16th, just next week. And I'll definitely be discussing it. Something tells me, like if you guys saw, there was a tremendous uproar involving Ancient Apocalypse Season 1. And something tells me it's just going to be just as crazy following Season 2. So I can't wait to catch that, and I hope you all will too. It's reason enough to sign up for Netflix and then cancel right after, right? Let's see here. Do you know anything of the record of the magnetic field? Yes, it is correlated. Pole shifts are correlated with extinction level events. Again, this is something that Ben Davison has brought to many people's attention. And it may be the cause of the Younger Dryas catastrophe, believe it or not. A lot of people identify with the comet theory, but there was a magnetic excursion, which is a partial pole flip at that same period of time, 11, 12,000 years ago. Few people are aware of that, but there are studies on it. And it's happened in other times of extinction level events or partial extinction, reduced animals, whether it's 70,000 years, 40,000 years ago, the data's there. But I'm working on a video about it. Let's see. Yeah, Jimmy is shadow throttled to 360p. Clearly, I have no idea what's going on. I don't want to complain about it too much, but something's amiss here. But let me keep going. No, I live in Phoenix, and I am plugged into my 2 gigabit router. And over the last number of months that I've lived in my new place, I've had no issues until now, guys. Until last week and this week, so who knows. Let's see here. Anyone here have a ticket to the U.S. government underground bunkers for when the cataclysm happens? Guys, we're not invited. Sorry to tell you that. Let's see here. Let's see. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Found me on JRE. Love your stuff. I appreciate that. I actually bumped into a guy at the grocery store the other day that recognized me from the show, and we chatted for a few minutes. He was awesome. Really nice guy. Let's see here. What's your go-to concealed carry? I have a few. I have my, and I won't tell you which one I carry most of the time, so people don't know how many rounds or what caliber I have, but there's a variety that I switch up to depending on what I'm wearing. I have a little North American Arms mini revolver, which is a 5-shot 22 Magnum. It's so small you could wear it in gym shorts, basketball shorts, and no one would even know, and it's lighter weight than a cell phone. I also have a 7-shot 357, or excuse me, a 7-shot Smith & Wesson 351 PD ultralight revolver. I have a Ruger LCP Max, which is a 10-shot 380 ACP. I have my Glock 43X, which a 10-shot 9mm. I have a few others, but yeah, I like switching it up, guys. I'm a big gun guy. Yeah, Danny Jones definitely gets some very interesting guests. He's definitely taken his podcast to a whole other level, and it's been awesome. Let's see here. Someone said it looks fine on the YouTube app. That's interesting to mention. In fact, let's do a little test right now. Let me go to YouTube. Let me go to my channel. This will only take a half a second, and let's see what it looks like. 1 second. Let me turn the volume down. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not perfect, but it actually is not bad. That's interesting. Huh. Okay, I'll have to play around and talk to some people to find out what's going on. But let's see here. Graham responded, by the way, Jimmy. Yeah, so I mentioned this when the podcast, when I first started. Graham did a upload today on his YouTube channel. I recommend you check it out. It's a 55-minute response and rebuttal to Flint Dibble, and it's very interesting. He goes through various line items of evidence that were discussed on their Joe Rogan debate, and he really highlights that, hey, Flint was not honest, and he was very slippery with the data points that he used to try to win the debate. And the evidence is there for all who have eyes to see. I recommend you go looking at it, because a lot of people thought Graham lost the debate. I didn't think so. I thought that Flint was a lousy dance partner, so to speak, because for a fun debate that's engaging and entertaining for the audience, it's kind of like a dance. And it shouldn't necessarily be about trying to outwit somebody or try to win the debate, even though that might be the goal. But like, there are ways to do things. And Flint was just a little insufferable, but enough about him. Hey, Jimmy from Nottingham. Thank you for inspiring. I wrote my first book. You played a huge part in motivating. Just wanted to thank you for that. What's the name of the book, brother? I'd love to hear it. I really appreciate that. And by the way, guys, notice when you're looking at my grainy footage, whatever's going on with the camera situation, notice how the chat that you see is just fine. See how clear that is, but my image is blurry? What's that about? Does that make any sense to you? Right? So something is definitely off. Hold on 1 second. Yes, I use Zyn. In case you're wondering what I'm putting in my mouth. Sorry, I know it's rude to do that on camera, but hey, it's what I want to do. Let's see here. Yeah, we don't need to talk trash about Flint. Enough about him. Yeah, throttling the bandwidth. I wonder if I should have set it to 720p. Maybe that would have fixed the issue instead of 1080p. I don't know. Whatever. I don't like it, but I'm trying not to get pissed about it. All right, let's see. Oops. Well, thank you. This isn't the one I meant to click on, but Julie's Canties. Hey, Jimmy, I love your chats. Audio is good, but image is blurry. I appreciate the feedback. The answer is yes, you're allowed to carry anything in Arizona. Yeah, you got your 19X, 17 rounds plus 1, right? Yeah, there's no limitations in Arizona. This is an open carry state as well. There's no restrictions here. This is the Wild West, baby. Let's see here. All right, let's see here. This is what I've been saying. If the grid goes down, cash will be the least of your worries. That is a fact. It'll all be about what you have and those who prepped. Again, look at my sponsors, guys, the Wellness Company. If the grid goes down and there's a collapse of civil instability, or, if you get a scratch on your hand or a toothache, that could become fatal. And so having antibiotics on hand will be worth more than anything other than water, clean water, and guns and ammo. So again, the link is in the description for the Wellness Company. I recommend you guys check it out. Let's see here. Weather manipulation. I talked about this a few minutes ago. Guys, I'm not saying they're not trying to play with the weather, but as far as in the context of Hurricane Milton, because that's what the conspiracies were going around, I don't buy it. Because think about it like this, and I already said this earlier, but let me say it again. Hurricane Milton started off as a Category 5, and people were saying it's the government causing this, and then it hits landfall at Category 3. If they were the cause of it, something tells me they would have gone full in on it. But also, you just got to look at the fact that in the prior decades, like going back to the 70s, there was more hurricanes that were stronger then, and people don't really know that. Hello, Guillermo Sanchez. Hello from Arizona. Right on, my Arizonans. Let's see here. They strip your gun rights if you have a medical cannabis card. That sounds... I'm not surprised. And I've heard that before, but... I got a whole bunch of people here. Oh, someone said I missed a super chat, Jimmy. Let me see if I can find it. Thank you for telling me. 1 second. Okay, I'm finding it now. Cameron Burrows, $5, says, Jimmy, the place is Maine. You say is one of the windiest places, Mount Washington, New Hampshire. Thank you for the correction. I'm a local there and love your work. So I did get it right in my video that I made about a year and a half. It was either a year and a half ago. When you make enough videos, you get turned around. But yeah, it's one of the windier places on Earth. And if you look at satellite imagery from various places in New Hampshire and that area, you don't see any of the striations you see over the Richat structure in the Western Sahara, just like Antarctica, like I mentioned earlier. To those of you who are just tuning in, let me just say that I was mentioning involving the Sahara Desert and the flooding that happened there. It's not wind, because this is like the biggest pushback that I get. People say, oh, the striations you see over the Western Sahara was caused by the wind. This is what the academics and scientists say. And so what I said is that if you take it upon yourself to look up the 10 windiest places on Earth, which isn't hard to find, you can literally Google 10 windiest places on Earth, and you'll find articles listing the top 10. And then take it upon yourself to go to Google Earth and look at the satellite imagery of the various places, and you'll see that none of them have any resemblance whatsoever to the striations that you see over the Western Sahara. It's not caused by the wind, guys. There was a flood there. Let's see here. Thank you so much, Brave. I appreciate you too. Let's see here. All right, guys, come on, give me some more questions here. Let's liven up this chat. I would love to talk about some more stuff here. And I'm just going to go for another 20 minutes. Let's see here. What do you think about your time on the Alex Jones show? So I haven't actually been on Alex Jones with him. I've been on with Owen Schroyer and I know his name, but I'm just drawing a blank right now. Great guy. Forgive me. But I've been on InfoWars twice and did interviews with them. In fact, 3 times, actually. I would love to connect with Alex Jones. I know I'll get a bunch of hate for it. I don't care. Alex Jones has been right about a vast majority of things, and he's doing a service. So get over it, people. It certainly does. The Sahara looks washed out in satellite images. And I also venture to say that it's the cause of whatever turned the Sahara from green into a desert. Something happened, guys, and I think it's related to the flood. We should also consider that it's related to the Younger Dryas climate catastrophe. For example, the Tamanrasset River, which existed from 11,700 years ago and was removed and went away 5,000 years ago, they could be wrong on those dates. It makes me think that if the Younger Dryas climate catastrophe was so devastating, which we know that it was, what's to say that the Sahara Desert wasn't impacted by that, right? Let's see here. We got a super chat from Sweet Nostrils. If you carry $2,000+ in the province of Quebec, Canada, you get arrested. This is not normal. Guys, we are living in such wild times. Tyranny is emerging. The next few years, I think things are going to change a lot. I don't want to be Mr. Doomsday guy, but let me again plug the wellness company and sponsor of my video for having antibiotics on hand, guys. I think the powers that be are going to try to do something. They are very all in on changing things, and I don't know. I think we all have to be prepared, Let's see here. Ninja Bot 007 said, what other October surprises do you think might happen? Hand pink wave, hand pink wave. I don't know. What's wild is that it's October 11th. The election is 3 weeks away, and I do think they're going to try to do something. I think there's going to be a curveball that comes out. They're going to try to do something with the elections. This is all just conspiracy theory, but I think that there is something afoot. So our imaginations, the sky's the limit on what they could try to do. How hard is it to get an expedition off the coast of Africa where the river shot blew into? Well, it would be extremely expensive because you were talking about getting boats, cameras, submersibles, maybe some drilling and some LiDAR scanning the bottom of the ocean. I don't even know if hundreds of thousands of dollars would be enough to cover it. You know what I mean? It depends. If you're going out there just looking, it depends what kind of stuff you're actually doing. But yeah, that's something that I think would be an awesome documentary project. Let's see here. All right, follow up. He says, thank you so much, brother. The name of the book is Encrypted Codes by Tala. Forgive me for not pronouncing that correctly. Self-published on Amazon. What do you think of the People of the Great Pillars, Eber, and the Decimation of Via Weather? I'm not sure about the People of the Great Pillars of Eber, but I appreciate you shouting out your book, and it's something I look forward to checking into. Let's see. Yeah, I would say the Sahara Desert throws a huge wrench into the climate change narrative because, for example, it was warmer on Earth 4,000 years ago. Something happened. We know that the Sahara went from green to desert approximately 5,000 years ago. I saw an article from the Smithsonian saying maybe as recent as 4,500 years ago. A lot of these studies say around 11,600 years ago to 5,000 years ago is when that transition happened. So that not only highlights how little we know, because they're only ballparking it over a period of several thousand years. Many studies will say, oh, it's 11,000 years ago to 6,000 years ago. Others say 5,000 years ago, 4,500 years ago. They're all ballparking it within thousands of years. The fact they can't articulate within a smaller margin of time highlights how little that we know about Earth's climatic history. But it is a documented fact that the Earth was warmer approximately 4,000 years ago, and they never bring that into the equation. Like, what turned the Sahara from green to a desert? Was it ancient cow farts? So this is something that notice they never talk about in the context of man-made climate change. So I think that's worth mentioning. Let's see here. What else we got? I agree. Ammo will be the currency. Let's see here. The Atlantic Ridge could have been the original location of Atlantis because its volcanic activity could have caused a tsunami and devastating earthquakes. It's an excellent theory. I have speculated that although I think the Richshot structure was the most likely location for the lost capital city of Atlantis, we have to remember that Atlantis was said to be an empire made up of 10 kingdoms, and it is very reasonable to suggest that the Azores, as an example, could have been the location of some of those other locations. The Mid-Atlantic Ridge is fascinating. It's one of the biggest mountain chains on Earth, or maybe the largest, don't quote me. But it's absolutely massive. And imagine, it'd be fun to explore that. Could you imagine if the Earth was to drain all of its oceans and to go mapping it and looking around on how neat that would be? I don't remember if you guys know that children's book. I remember where it was like this Asian man that was able to suck up all the Earth's oceans into his mouth like this. And in the illustrations of the little children's book, it would show the bottom of the ocean and everything. And that one captivated my mind and my imagination. Let's see here. Any recent floods that have changed the understanding of what floods can do? I think that what I was sharing earlier in this presentation highlights it. That when you look at the catastrophic nature of what happened in North Carolina, various beach flooding that happened with Hurricane Milton, this stuff is so small in comparison to floods of the ancient past, whether it's whatever happened over the Western Sahara. So I think that it provides us, and this is what I was saying earlier in the live stream, is that it provides us and paints us a picture that those examples that I was showing is small localized flooding. Very small in comparison. So I think, if we were talking about a biblical sized tsunami of some kind, it would pale in comparison. Who is this guy that keeps saying this? Red Monkey, he keeps saying, why won't you debate me? Red Monkey, I don't know who you are, brother, but I don't owe anybody a debate. So I appreciate you wanting to have one, but that's the worst way to get me to debate anyone is just demanding things. But more power to you, brother. Hey, if there's videos you want to make or anything and you feel like you have arguments to be made on some topic, more power to you. That's what I've done my whole YouTube career. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here, guys. I'm going to wrap this up here in 15 minutes, and next time I do a live stream, I'm going to have figured out what's going on because I'm not going to tolerate this. And you guys, I feel bad. Let's see here. Yeah, 144p squad checking in. Yeah, this is so bad. But notice how it shows the comments that I put up as completely clear, but the image quality is completely bad. So I'm going to explore to find out what's going on. Do you think there were civilizations that existed millions of years ago? So listen, that's a tough one. It is certainly possible. What I think is that when we look at human beings as they are today with our modern day cranial size capacity dating back over 300,000 years, and the fact we don't know anything about humans, early civilization from further back than 6,000 years, it seems very peculiar that we didn't start developing things until 6,000 years ago. And I think that when you look at the fact that there's been 4 or arguably 5 interglacial periods over just the last 450,000 years, each one of those periods could have been enough to obliterate a civilization before them. For example, those interglacial periods is what caused, the huge ice shelf on top of North America. Anything that would have been below them, look, the Rocky Mountains were carved by those ice sheets. And so anything below it would have been just obliterated. So let's see here. I just watched Ben Van Kerkweek's video about the precision stonework in Abu Sir, Egypt. Fascinating, especially the boreholes done with advanced machine tools. I'll have to check out that video. I love Ben's work. I did travel with him to Egypt in November and December of 2020, and we went to Abu Sir, and I was blown away, guys. I saw the boreholes and the precision of the stonework, and guys, that place is spectacular. What's even more bizarre about it, and I don't have images in front of me, but it looks like it was obliterated. It looks like that place was hit by bunker busting bombs. It looks like a war zone. And the academic explanation is that, oh, well, you know, ancients eventually broke it down and used the stone for recycling and other things. I'm like, that's not what I'm seeing there. We're talking huge pieces of granite that were just obliterated. Someone said, just my opinion, I love the screen name. Hey, I think the pixelation issue you're having is because the resolution you're capturing at is different from the resolution you're streaming at. That means your CPU or GPU has to do some extra work. So I got a fast computer, and this is the same one that I've been using this whole time. So I'm curious if you could send me a follow-up on how do I adjust the setting to accommodate that. Again, I haven't done anything different, guys. The last few months that I've been doing these live streams that have been good quality, nothing has changed. So that makes me wonder if something changed on my end through a stupid Windows update or something, you know, that may have changed it. So if someone could send me a follow-up, if there's any experts in the chat that have some insight into this, it would help me greatly. Let's see here. Blackhawk says, Jimmy, what is your opinion about the theory that entails there is a connection between UFOs and the paranormal? It's very interesting. It's possible. I am more inclined to think that this is wild conspiracy, this is just fun conjecture, I'm not convinced of anything. But I am more inclined to think that the UFO phenomenon, even though I think it's the intelligence agencies and the government that have back-engineered something, I think it's possible, and again, you can think I'm crazy, but I wonder if these could be ancient humans that are visiting us. You know, there are legends around the world about, you know, people escaping to avoid the cataclysm, that the Anunnaki left and all that crap. People call that conspiracy and crap, I understand. But it is interesting, because when you look at Bob Lazar, and guys, he had some sort of affiliation with S4. They tried to remove him. He was in the catalog, and he knew things that he wouldn't have known otherwise, so I do believe him. I'm not saying he told the truth about everything, although I'm not saying he's lying. I just take things with a grain of salt. But I find it extremely interesting that the claim was that one of their crash crafts or whatever was found in an archaeological site. That really makes things interesting. And when you look at the fact that this UFO phenomenon has been documented for thousands of years. Even Christopher Columbus, you should look at his records. In his logbook on their boat, they talk about it was either a yellow or a red orb that they saw following them for a period of time when they were in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. So these orbs and other things that have been witnessed in modern times, you can find legends of these things going back hundreds of years, thousands of years, arguably. Now, you could say they've been misinterpreted or whatever, but like there's something going on. And I like how Tucker Carlson brought this up not long ago. Tucker Carlson's a controversial figure, but I love him. And he's talked about, he's talked about these biblical legends from around the world that have talked about this phenomenon. You know, people call them the Watchers and other things. Guys, there's something there, and it is not unreasonable to suggest that something has happened. All right, looks like I missed some super chats. Let's see here if I can find them. 1 second. Hold on. 1 second, guys. I'm going to bring them up. Man, I missed so many comments. What a good problem to have. I love you all. Sorry for missing some, but I'm going to I want to read these super chats. Okay. Would love to see you chat with Matt LaCroix and or Randall Carlson. That would be fun. I appreciate the super chat. It'd be fun to have a conversation with Randall. Let's see here. We got another one here. 1 second. Wow, I missed a lot. Decky69, it's crazy how we evolved so quickly from balls out of loincloth and Burke-wearing hunter-gatherers creating megaliths with deer antlers and woven baskets. It certainly is, and how quickly we've developed in just the last couple hundred years. From having no steam engine like 150 years ago or so to all of this. And that's what makes me wonder about ancient humans. Like, if we can accomplish all this in a relatively short period of time, you know, what was happening much further back in time? The in-between says, keep shouting out and being loud, Jimmy. This is so important. I appreciate that, and I'm not going to stop. You know, I'm only emboldened by the naysayers. Forgive me, I got like a dog here on my nose. I feel like it's tickling me. Let's see here. Yeah, Columbus was racist or something. Hey, guys, I am not woke. I am not into any of these people that are wanting to take down statues and erase history. But when it comes to Christopher Columbus, if you look into the details, guys, he was such a scumbag. Him and his legions were rapists and murderers. They weren't good people. They weren't in search of discovering anything. They were trying to go to the other side of India in the search of gold. Gold, that's what they were looking for. They were going to go steal it. And they did heinous things. So, like, I'm one of those people I identify with, like, yeah, get rid of Christopher Columbus Day and make it Indigenous, you know, Native American Day. I'm all about that. because it's the truth. And here we are. I'm on conquered land. I'm literally on land that was occupied by the Native Americans before us, and it breaks my heart what happened to them. Yes, this is a fascinating one to mix things up. Hopi, which is in Arizona, told us about the ant people. So what's interesting about the Hopi people, as well as the Aborigines from Australia, is that they both talk about beings coming from underground and like creating us and doing things to us. And most legends around the world talk about beings coming from the sky and coming down onto us. Listen, the Sumerians are the first documented or first known human civilization that we know about. Clearly, some people created Göbekli Tepe thousands of years before them, but we know about the Sumerians. And in their tales, they talk about beings coming and creating us. What an interesting thing, right? So, when I look at this UFO phenomena and how they're being documented under the ocean, traveling at incredible speeds, they could be living inside the Earth. And what better place to hide than under the ocean inside, let's just say that the Atlantic ridge that we were talking about earlier. There could be vast tunnels and cave systems in that mountain chain. Why wouldn't there be? There are mountain chains all over the world. That would be a premier place to hide if there ever was. Let's see here. The Mechanic says, Jimmy, what's your opinion on what seems like pyramid-like structures appearing all over the planet around the same time frame, roughly a few thousand years apart, if not hundreds of thousands of years apart? Well, let's be clear. From what we know, the pyramids of Egypt compared to the pyramids of Mexico are separated by thousands of years, so I wouldn't say they all happen around the same period of time. But what I find most interesting, because never mind the time frame for just a second, they're all mysteries. Like we know so little about the Egyptian pyramids in themselves. The fact that pyramids are found on like 4 continents around the world is astonishing, and I don't think it's a coincidence. The academic naysayers will say it is a coincidence that pyramids are the most simple structure you could possibly build, that you just put one layer, another layer, and another layer. I'm like, okay, that makes sense if you're playing with children's blocks, but it doesn't make sense when you're talking about multi-ton stones that you moved miles and miles, right? So I don't think it's a coincidence. I think it's evidence of a global connection, and people had traveled amongst the continents and the vast oceans long before we thought was possible, and they learned from other cultures and they went on to try to replicate it in their homeland. That's what I think. I think that makes far more sense. And why weren't humans be able to travel the ocean? Like, again, talking about Christopher Columbus. As far as what we're taught in school, it wasn't until 1492 when Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue. BS. There are maps of Antarctica that date back hundreds of years before him. There's even a study talking about, was it the Polynesians, or that they believe that they had discovered Antarctica like 1,500 years ago, and the study is based on shared legends that were passed down. But you can read about this. This is in a science paper, which is pretty incredible. So of course, humans, with all of our ingenuity and our inherent desire to explore things, of course people would have been traveling the oceans. Many would have died in the process, and it's entirely possible that they would have traveled and there'd be no documentation for how they did it today, obviously. But clearly there's something there. Let's see here. Let me scroll down and find some more. I'm just going to go a few more minutes. I'm annoyed about the resolution on this video. Jimmy, what's your opinion on what seems like pure... Oh, I already read this. Forgive me. Let me scroll down. This is how many I've missed. Plan your fluids if you interview Randall. I'm not sure if I know what you mean by that. Let's see here. Let's see. I want to read a couple more good ones before we go. Sorry, missing so many. This is why, hey, if you're not following me on locals.com, I do a monthly live Q&A. And obviously on these live streams here on YouTube and Rumble, I'm going to miss thousands of comments, many hundreds if nothing else. But when I do my live Q&As, and I'm due for another one, I am able to read and answer 100% of the questions and comments. If you want to leave a question comment, you got to pay to support. It's just the way the app is set up. But it does help me, guys. So if that's something you're interested in doing, locals.com, link is in the description down below. This is a good one. Don't forget, Jimmy, we know more about space than we do our ocean. What is it? Only 5% of the oceans have been actually searched, which is pretty wild. We have mapped the oceans, but we know so little about it. And the vast area that exists between the surface and the bottom of the ocean is mostly undocumented as well. We haven't just sent submersibles all over the place and looked. There's so many we're always discovering new sea creatures. It happens literally daily. We're discovering new insects in the Amazon almost daily. It's wild. Google to look up at new species of insects that are discovered per year. It's in the hundreds. The last I looked. It's wild. And new plant life too in the Amazon and other places. So we know so little about so many things. Let's see here. Oh, let's give Graham a shout out. So Jimmy, what do you think about archaic lenses? Who is Graham? Video on the wrist shot. He sent it to me. I haven't seen it yet, but he thinks he found evidence of people, but in the form of stone hand axes for now. Yeah, I got to look into his work. I've just been caught up with a few other things. Let's see here. Let me see if there's any other super chats. Gaudi's in Spain. So what's interesting is that besides the capital of Atlantis, the second city was Gaudi's. And that's the translated name for what once existed in what is today Cadiz, Spain. And that's an unbelievable similarity because it's directly on the other side of the Pillars of Hercules at the Straits of Gibraltar. So I find that fascinating. Kind of ties into it. Let's see here. Let me scroll down. Well, guys, I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm a little frustrated that the pixel quality is so shitty. But stay tuned. I'll be doing other live streams this month. If anyone has any feedback right now on how to fix this bandwidth issue, I don't think it's a bandwidth issue, honestly. But I appreciate it. But I love you all. Sorry to keep this short and sorry about the image quality. Again, check out my sponsors. Links are in the description. If you're having issues with weight loss, definitely check out takelean.com. That might be the right thing for you. And also stock up on your antibiotics from the Wellness Company. Guys, these things are awesome and they support me. But with that said, if I don't see any other comments, I'm just going to wrap this up. But you guys have a wonderful Friday, and I'll talk to you guys all again real soon. Have a good night.